Did you guys see that? And I'm always like scratching or something or whatever. I'm camouflaging today. This is Red Flags Part 7, I believe. And this is a lack of communication, which also goes into someone not showing interest in your day-to-day personal life. There's times when you may meet someone and they love talking to you. They tell you, I just really like talking to you. Like, you're very attentive and you seem very thoughtful and very caring. And they just talk. And there's times you may just be like, because you're waiting for them to ask you something about you. And it seems like it's not happening. I had a recent situation, and I'm laughing because to me it's sad because people who are this way don't realize that they're this way. And he was 62 years old, and he would just talk. And I had mentioned, oh yeah, I was working on an article for my website today, and I'll probably do a video to go along with it. And he was like, oh yeah, my day was such and such and this and that. And I'm just like, wow, like he didn't even ask me anything about what I do. But he would ask me questions about, you know, what kind of sweets I liked, because he liked to bake pies and he liked to bake cakes. He asked me if I like shooting because he goes to the range sometimes. He asked me, you know, if I like traveling because he wants to go on another cruise. And so I was feeling like everything that he was asking me was in line with his own interests. He wasn't asking me things about my own personal interests aside from his. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna give it time. It's because we had just met. So I'm like, okay, let me just chill and just kind of see if this is how he is like every time we talk. And it did turn out to be like that every time we talked. And so about a week into it, not even that, like 6 days into it, he said, oh, you mentioned that he had asked me what I did that day. And I'm like, oh, I just, you know, worked on an article earlier today. And he was like, oh yeah, what types of articles do you write? And, you know, have you written books? Like, what types of stuff do you write? And what types of videos do you do? This and this and that. And I'm just like, wow. And so I told him, you know, and talked about it. And I said, I have to tell you that I'm feeling a little better about you now. I said, because I was feeling like you weren't taking an interest in my personal life. Everything you've asked me if I was interested in was something you were interested in. And I know I've mentioned quite a few times that I write and I'm working on a book and I do videos. And this is the first time you've ever asked me anything about that. And so I'm glad that you did, because now I'm feeling like you really care about me as a person and not just, am I going to fit into these other areas of your life with things that you enjoy doing? And he said, well, I have a lot going on in my life, you know, with work and with my mom and with my sister, and, you know, supposed to be helping my cousin paint. And I said, I almost said his name, but I'm not. I'm just going to say dude instead. I said, dude, I'm just telling you how I feel, and that how I'm feeling better, that it seems like you're taking an interest in my life. And we all have things going on. I haven't seen my mom since March, since the nursing home was closed down in COVID. My grandmother still isn't really doing well. You know, I live alone. You know, I don't even have pets because of allergies. I did just buy 2 new bonsai trees. We all have things going on. I'm away from friends. I'm not working down at the playhouse because of isolation. I said, you don't have a monopoly on things going on in your life. I said, and again, that's not the point of me saying that. I'm saying I'm glad that it seems like now you're taking an interest in my life and the personal things that I do in my life outside of your own interests, which you were just always talking about, you know, what types of cakes and pies do I like because you like to bake, and asking me if I would go on a cruise because you like going on cruises. I said, so I'm saying I'm really glad that you were asking me these questions about me as a person. And then he says, well, it's only been about a week, and you know, I didn't know if it was appropriate to ask you those things. And I'm like, why would it not be appropriate to ask me about what I write when I've told you numerous times that I write? Like, why would you think that it would be a problem for me to share that information with you? He says, well, you know, I'm just trying to get to know you. I said, well, you get to know people by asking them questions about their life and about who they are as an individual. I said, this past week, well, really it was like 6 days at this point, you've talked a lot about a lot of things. I said, and if you think back to our conversations, I really didn't ask you much because you would just talk about a lot of different things. I said, I know a lot about you from the last 6 days of us talking. And at the same time, what do you know about me other than what you've asked me, which was in line with your own personal interests? And then he says, well, I'm not going to forget about my mom, and I'm not going to forget about my sister or helping my cousin paint. I said, dude, I didn't ask you to forget anything or anybody. Like, what are you, is that what you heard me say? Is that I want you to forget about your family? I'm like, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm glad that it seems like you're taking a personal interest in my life and in the things that I do. And so I kind of knew then that this was not going to work, because to share your feelings with someone and to keep telling them it's good and how you're feeling better about things, and for them to get defensive, they're not really listening. And so there's a communication glitch going on. Also, during the 6 days of talking with him, and it did bother me, some of the things that he would say. Something with a guy at his job wanted him to do something, and he was like, well, we weren't really friends, but we were just co-workers, and we've seen each other around on the floor for a long time. And he said something to me that I don't like, and so I had called him. So they were friendly enough for them to have each other's phone numbers. So I'm like, okay, so was he a friend or was he not a friend? Anyway, beside the point, he says, I told him I didn't appreciate, him saying such and such, and I didn't want to hear from him again, blah, 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 blah. And I told him off and cursed him out, and then I blocked his number. And I don't know if he tried to call back and apologize or not, but I don't really care. I blocked his number. I don't know if he really tried. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, excuse me. So I'm thinking to myself, like, if somebody says something you don't like, you'll just disappear. You don't even want to have a conversation about it. It could have been a misunderstanding. Or even if it wasn't, just to be open to a conversation. And he was always saying how open-minded he was. And I'm thinking, not if you don't even want to talk to somebody, or you getting your feelings about something and you block them. Like, where's the communication at? Or even just the willingness to sit down and have a conversation with that person about whatever it is that they did that bothered you. So that bothered me, as someone new in his life, or trying to determine if he's someone I wanted to keep in my life, was like, what's going to happen if something happens he doesn't agree with? Like, is he going to want to or be willing to sit down and discuss it? Communication is a key part of a foundation for any friendship or relationship. Do not underestimate open and clear and honest communication. If you're coming across someone who doesn't want to communicate, that is a red flag. And so as I was listening to him for these 6 days, and him not taking an interest in my life, and also him not being willing to discuss things with other people in his life and just blocking people because they said something that he didn't like, what is that person going to do with you if you say something that they don't like? So that's something to think about. So don't ignore those little things. And it comes down to just listening to the things that they say and paying attention to how they say they treat other people, because that situation was not me. But I thought, well, gee, is that something that he might do with me? Think about that. How they treat other people may be how they end up treating you. So do not dismiss, these little things that pop up that don't sit well with you. There's also people who have a defense mechanism. We all do. But some people, their defense mechanism is that if something is troublesome to them, they'll just put it way back in their mind and not think about it, not deal with it. And then when something happens down the road that triggers that situation or that memory, then they'll be like, oh my gosh. And then they'll kind of just flash back and it'll pop up again and creep up, in their mind, which may start to change their behavior or the things they say towards you. That's a red flag too. If someone tells you, when things bother me, I don't think about it, that's not a good trait to have, because something is always going to happen that we're not happy about. Something is always going to happen that we wish didn't. Are we just going to dismiss it and act like it's not there and then wait to be triggered by something similar down the road? And then you're going to dismiss that as well and never deal with the core issue? That's not good. And so that's a red flag. If people tell you, I don't deal with troublesome things, I just forget about it. Subconsciously, you might be forgetting about it. Consciously, you may be forgetting about it. But subconsciously, you don't, because something will happen and that thought will come right back up. That situation will come right back up into their mind, and they're going to be looking at you like you're crazy, and you're looking at them like, what's wrong with you? Because they have this issue that didn't have anything to do with you that crept up because they've never dealt with it in their past. So that's something else to pay attention to. There's times you may be communicating with someone and you may feel like they're not hearing you or they're not listening to you. Some people are just very stoic in their expression, and like how I'm looking now, this is just how they look all the time. You can say the worst thing happened to you and you can go into detail and they're still just looking at you like this, and then you're like, are they even hearing what I'm saying? Because they look like they're just somewhere else. If that's something that bothers you, you can ask them, hey, like, do you get what I'm saying? If they say yes, you can ask them, what did you hear me say? And then listen to what their response is, because their response will let you know, did they really hear what you said, or are they saying something that had nothing at all to do with what you said? So pay attention to that as well. When you're communicating to them, are they really receiving it? Are they really hearing you? And it's okay to ask them, what did you hear me say? And then to confirm, deny, or clarify what you did say in the hopes that they're really listening that time, because you've pointed out to them that, are you really listening? So then they might be like, oh shoot, let me focus kind of thing. And it does happen. And if they make that switch and and you can tell that they are really focusing now, okay, that's somebody you can work with. That's somebody you can communicate with, because once they realize that maybe they checked out for an instance, because sometimes people do zone out. I do it all the time in videos. I'll say something and be like, I lost my train of thought. But once you bring it to their attention, if they do make that change and they do focus and start to listen to you and start to engage in that conversation with you, that's a good thing. But if you were to bring it to their attention and they still stay the same, that could be a red flag. The final one for this video, which goes into all of this with communication, is a person who never compliments you. This goes along with them not taking an interest in your personal life or the things that you do in your personal life, aside from things that they may be involved in your life, or things that they want you to be involved in their life. Even if you were to say something like, oh yeah, I was at the store today and this lady was in a cart at the grocery store and I saw her looking up, at the top shelf, and I went over to her and said, ma'am, would you like me to reach something for you? And this person that you're telling this to, they're just like, yeah, whatever. So, but this person, if they don't even recognize things that most people would consider good or helpful to other people, that can be a red flag as well. So if that person just completely dismisses what you did, which was being helpful to a stranger, that's something to pay attention to as well. And in a situation like that, I would think, are they kind to strangers? Like, how do they treat other people? Or if they saw someone who possibly needed help, would they ask this person if they can help them, or if they would like their help to do something? So it's not only taking an interest in your life, but also, are they interested in helping other people, whether they ask for it or not? And so I just want you to think about these things. Let me know your thoughts. If you feel like you're good at communicating and you struggle with feeling other people are not, I would love to hear your experiences below. If you're the person who realized you just zone out, or people are talking to you and you're not listening, let me know if you've learned anything from this video that you can incorporate into your life to help you communicate better with other people. So like, comment, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching this video. And you will see me in the next one. Bye.